Alex Jones, y'all. Alex Jones had, I would argue, a more old school Alex Jones moment. You remember back in the day, Crystal, right? When he was like, his whole thing was being anti-Bush.
I mean, a little bit. I was not following this era close. Nor do I. You follow Alex Jones a lot more closely than I do still to this day. So you would be better equipped to speak to the Alex Jones arc than myself.
So back during the Bush years, he was actually viewed as more affiliated with the left. Whether or not he was is a separate question. Like, what his actual ideology is actually a separate question.
Right.
But, like, the bulk of his shows were focused on George W. Bush being a neocon warmonger, Dick Cheney being horrible, and, like, saying 9/11 was an inside job. Like, that was his main lane.
That was his bread and butter. Yep.
Yes. And then it was only, like, with the rise of Trump is when, well, under the Obama years, he hated Obama, he hated Hillary Clinton. Sometimes for legit reasons, more times than not legit reasons. I remember he said he thinks Obama's a demon because a fly landed on him, and Hillary smells like sulfur because she's literally satanic. So, like, insane stuff. But come Trump, you know, with the rise of Trump, he really went all in with this, like, populist right idea.
Yeah.
But now he's doing a little bit of a throwback to more of an old school Alex Jones type thing. To this point, he had been very weaselly and waffly on what Israel is doing in Gaza.
I didn't know how he had positioned himself.
He sort of had that post October 7th where everybody, understandably so, was like, Jesus Christ, this is a horrible terrorist attack, Hamas is fucked up, like all that stuff. But he seemingly wasn't saying much after that when Israel began to do a literal ethnic cleansing and a genocide and do offensive violence against civilians. But now it seems like all at once, boom, that now changed. So he came out and tweeted the following. Go ahead.
Yes. So this was in response to the Al Jazeera drone footage that they were able to acquire of the IDF killing 4 unarmed Palestinians, Khan Yunis, clearly just showing, I mean, they're just intentionally executing civilians.
No weapons, it was so obvious, just killing civilians on purpose.
That's right. And so in response to that, he quote tweeted that and said, Israel has lost the high ground. This is not war. It is robotic mass genocide. Section 1091 of Title 18 U.S. Code prohibits genocide, whether committed in time of peace or time of war. Genocide is defined in Section 1091 and includes violent attacks with the specific intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. He then replied to that and said, if you support Israel, you should not support the random killing of civilians. Israel is committing suicide with actions like this. Use your fucking brain.
So this is like a throwback to old school Alex Jones. I think for a while he floated the idea that Israel actually did 9/11. Then eventually it became George W. Bush did 9/11. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm curious what you make of this, because I don't know. I'm a little jaded at this point, and my sense is that it might be more of a tactical thing, in the sense that he sees enough hatred of Israel on the right where he's like, I can get away with hating Israel now too. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, no, it's actually like Alex Jones grew a fucking conscience overnight and was like, this genocide must stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a healthy strain of like actual like white supremacist anti-Semitism on the right that you can ally yourself with. And so you either have to be kind of like in that camp or in the like,
we're jealous
of the
ethno-state and
exactly. Israel can do no wrong, and guess what? The Arabs are barbarians.
Yeah,
and
Richard Hanania stuff.
Yeah, there's, and you know, might makes right, and it's the law of the jungle, and right, exactly. So since he didn't want to go all the way in that direction, I guess, it was kind of like too dissonant with where he'd been in the past. This was the other lane that is open to him.
Yeah.
I still like to see it though. I mean, I can't deny that I appreciate seeing that. And there were a bunch of people online who were like, oh, look at all the like liberals who are getting outflanked left by Alex Jones now. So
yeah, Alex Jones is to the left of Joe Biden on this now. It's like, Jesus Christ.
And most Democratic politicians, like I saw just today, AOC did call it a genocide. To my knowledge, that's the first time she's said that, but you know, Alex Jones just barely beat her to the punch, I guess.
Yeah. Do you remember? I remember when, this wasn't that long ago, it was like a year or two ago, where Alex had Nick Fuentes on his show.
Oh, yeah.
And they debated whether or not Hitler was based.
Yes.
And Alex, of course, was the correct one. And he's, you know, I think his dad or something, or his grandfather fought in World War II. And he was like, you know, you're an idiot if you think Hitler's based.
Well, I mean, we remember when he had Kanye on. And he was trying to be like,
he was trying.
You
No,
mean like their uniforms?
Right?
You like their
the Nazi uniforms are cool. That's what
Right.
you're saying, right? He's like, no, I love Hitler.
Yes, I love Hitler. And it's like, okay, I can't go
man.
there with you. So yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see if I'm curious if this is followed up with like Alex doing segments, like my segments, or it's like I detail all the specifics and the ins and outs of what's happening in the genocide. You know what I'm saying? Like the year segments on Breaking Points, where here's all the updates. Here, is he actually going to do that? I don't know. I tend to doubt it, right?
Well, it depends on if it clicks.
Yeah, is he going to
his
lean
audience
into it?
thinks, how they respond to it, whether it gets views. I mean, that seems what mostly drives him, right?
I guess. I don't know. It's hard to tell what makes Alex Jones tick. Cocaine makes Alex Jones tick. And massive amounts of alcohol.
Sheer raw charisma.
Yeah, I mean, that guy just turns the camera on and it's just like fireworks going off, you know? But yeah, no, I agree with you. I like to see it, but I'm also very jaded.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to pretend like
skeptical.
This is some like face turn from him, you know?
Yeah, 'cause
like,
also,
now he's on our side.
By the way, to Alex Jones and the AOC point you made, it's like, really, guys? It took you this fucking long? It took you this fucking long. Like, this shit has been going on for so long now.
It's sort of interesting to me. This drone footage seems to have been, I think,
huge breaking point.
It seems to be a bit of a turning point. We'll call it, I guess, because it's so undeniable. You know, you can't do the like, oh, human shields, or but Hamas, they must be Hamas, or what. Like, it's just. There is no other explanation for it than, oh, they are just straight up massacring civilians. That's the whole point of what they're doing. Like this, I know. That's what I was surprising to me that this was the thing. I'm glad that something got through. And I think that and the combination of the flower massacre and the fact that people are just undeniably starving to death and it's clear collective punishment. I mean, that you can't but Hamas, that you can't like, oh, they're human shields. No, you are starving more than 2 billion people, you know, 50% plus of whom are children. There's just, you literally cannot defend that, which is why the AIPAC position and the Israel position is just, oh, that's not happening. That's a lie. That's fake. They're not actually starving to death. That's not true. Here's a market scene. Look at all the food. They're doing just fine. They can't actually grapple with that reality. They just have to pretend it's not happening.
But by week 3, I was calling it a genocide. Because I had already seen so much.
We've seen enough.
Like, if you're attacking standalone UN buildings, you're telling people, hey, you got to go from the north to the south will be safe, then you bomb them on the road to the south, then you bomb places in the south. You bomb over 20 freaking hospitals in Gaza. Like, you always point out, you're still doing a medieval siege, where you're not allowing food, fuel, water, electricity in to 2.3 million people. Like, when the day they announced that, this shit was undeniable what was going on. But people, is it just people are really fucking slow? Are they just slow? Like, I don't understand why it takes so long for people to be like, oh, I see what, like, yeah, it's been like this for a fucking while. Wakey.
I know. I think it's a combination of things. One of them is just pure cowardice, you know? Like, they know it's a fraught topic, and they know saying genocide is, like, not, you know, they're gonna get sneered at, and it's gonna be an issue for them politically or whatever. I think that's part of it. I think there's, like, a racism element where just Palestinian deaths and life is not valued the same way that, you know, Israeli life is valued. I think part of it, some people are so deep in like decades long Hasbara propaganda campaigns where they actually believe that there was a command and control node under Al-Shifa and what, like, they believe all the bullshit, and then they just don't pay that close attention. I saw a thing, only half of Americans can accurately answer the question of whether more Israelis or Palestinians have been killed in this conflict.
Oh my God.
You know, we take for granted, like, you know, we're on Twitter and we're seeing what's happening every day. We're not watching fucking CNN or, you know, getting our coverage from the New York Times or whatever. But if you are, you aren't, or if you're just, you know, not particularly like a super news consumer in general and you're just sort of casually taking things in, you're not necessarily acquainted with any of the most basic facts of what's going on. So I think there's a variety of things going on here.
I view it as sort of unforgivable.
I do
at this
too.
point.
I do too.
Anyway, I guess we'll take a mini W when we get it.